come, let us prepare, make some good profits today. Market left us some clues right here. We will talk about that in today's video. But before that intraday analysis, it's important you understand the algorithms so you're able to prepare for the macro structure, as well as identify your 5-figure trade setups. Now at 10:22, this was when we identified this magenta algorithm right here. Now this will come in really handy, as you can see later, because this is a larger bear flag that started to form. And I mentioned that if you do not see buying continuation, prepare for this magenta algorithm right here. Now there was a larger structure that I told you to wait for at 11:01. Now I want you to see this beautiful 5-day moving average right there. Can you see the market closing the cup right here, and with the magenta forming that handle and giving us that beautiful inverse cup and handle move here, just from that 5-day moving average right there. And I reminded you again as we got closer at 12:06 right there, once we retested that 5-day moving average and wait for that magenta and green algorithm starting to form liquidity here. And you see how beautiful we grabbed that liquidity of the 5-day moving average, giving us beautiful drop all the way to 527, as I was mentioning right there as well. Now at this point here, you have to understand where the structure was balanced. And I was telling you at 527, you have to take most of your profits. And although I was discouraging, especially newer traders, on the reversal, if you knew what you're doing, you will know 5-day moving average is an obvious target, and you had to wait for some sort of reclamation. And you see how the market started reclaiming. We planned for this at 155 on the breakout of that yellow algorithm. See how the market started grabbing liquidity. Once again, 5-day moving average right there. Now, this is a big clue. I will talk about this later in the video. Now, members who did well today, you were focused and remained patient. You train your eyes to be looking at the algorithms, and you avoided the chop. As I was mentioning, you have to wait for confirmation. It's never too late to be waiting for a trade to materialize itself, as I was showing you, as long as you train your eyes to be looking at the algorithms. There were plenty of 5-figure trade setups. If you waited patiently instead of forcing a trade, you will never miss a trade. All you have to do is to train your eyes, look at the algorithms, and trade as structure demands, and do not overtrade. Now I'm including some trades from last week because I have been unwell, so no videos for a few days. So I beg your pardon. And thank you for continuing to share, especially after seeing that there are many 5-figure trade setups possible. And I want you to continue to remind yourself why you're doing this and stay focused, because we have a short week ahead. Remain patient. So well done, members. Now, where do we go from here? Now, we had that 5-day moving average reclamation, isn't it? This was a low-hanging fruit that I was expecting for tomorrow. But if the market wants to reclaim it early, so be it. In this case, we have to understand where the market is building liquidity here. Now, let me start from where I left off last week. And that was when you started seeing on Friday the market building liquidity at this juncture here. Now, when the market was building liquidity, this was on Friday with the green algorithm. You see that we started pushing out right here. However, you do see there is certain rejection with that tapering blue, and that's what happened today. Once we had that tapering blue, you see we had that inverse cup that started closing. And this was where we see that closed inverse cup here today, right here as well. I talked about this in the morning brief right here at 8:41. So this wasn't of no surprise, isn't it? Because you were already prepared if there were some rejection of that tapering blue algorithm and that 5-day moving average right there. However, you see the market has started reclaiming liquidity here again, and we are starting to form that beautiful structure of that green algorithm building liquidity now. So you have to understand that once we re-grab that liquidity here, you may want to see the market building more liquidity on the way up here. So tomorrow, straightforward, look out for that same buying continuation structure. There must be buying continuation, especially now that we dug a little deeper here. If there is no buying continuation here, you want to see the bulls starting to rebuild more liquidity off this level here, and with that green and magenta algorithm here building us more liquidity on the way up, preferably with the orange buying continuation structure. However, it is also possible you can wait for the cup to close here at this yellow 531. This is a very important level. You have to pay close attention to that and allow the market to build more liquidity on the way up, especially off that 530 where we were basing off at the top today. So you can also possibly wait for structure like that before, once again, you have to be looking out for that buying orange continuation structure here before it starts heading up. Now the market can still be tapering here. You have to pay close attention to that. And one very important level will be where the 5-day moving average will be. Especially if this is a last 10-minute move, you need to have confirmation tomorrow. And you need to see if the bulls are building any support of 5-day moving average or off the green or magenta algorithm to be building more liquidity on the way up. Otherwise, this will just be shorts covering. You have to be very mindful, especially when we had that tapering blue algorithm that started forming today. Now, if the market wants to continue going down with that tapering here, you know where the liquidity levels are. And the first being that 5-day moving average here. Look out for the yellow algorithm here. That's a very important level because you notice today's large moves are all from the break of the yellow algorithm right here. So we had our 2-point move here from the break of the yellow algorithm because we were prepared for the close of the cup here with the magenta algorithm, as I was mentioning about. This was exactly where that break of the yellow algorithm was, right here at the break of the yellow. This was that 2-point move that we had earlier on. So you have to pay close attention to that yellow algorithm, especially if the market doesn't build sufficient buying continuation structure here. So pay close attention to where the 5-day moving average will be, as well as the liquidity that was built here, that you can see that the liquidity built right here at this level where the 5-day moving is. Now, if the market wants to continue heading down, there will be more room to go down, especially if we close the cup. You want to be looking for the handle here. Look out for that same blue and yellow algorithm that started forming, and you see more liquidity that can be built on the way down back to 524 level right there. But you have to wait for several confirmation here. First being 5-day moving average turn into resistance. Secondly, you have to see the blue algorithms and the yellow algorithms starting to build liquidity like that on the way down here. So before this happens, especially now we've reclaimed back the 5-day moving average, you just have to be more patient to wait for more confirmation. So it's quite a straightforward day. And remember, even in the chop, all you have to do is to be looking out for profits and find profits in the chart. You don't have to worry where the charts are going. Trade as structure demands. Train your eyes to be looking at the algorithms, and you can certainly find profits in the charts. Thank you very much for watching. See you closer to opening bell.